1, 2, chuffy, chuffy, 1, 2, chuffy, chuffy, 1, 2. This is our little start sequence here where I flash this on and off. And I should beckon as well. It's a bit late for me to be doing the beckoning now, isn't it? It's a bit late for me to be doing the beckoning. A bit late for that. Because the reason we're doing this is that you have the first few seconds when you thumb over it on YouTube. The first few seconds when you thumb over it on YouTube, it just plays, and then you'll see that and you'll be like, oh, what the chuff's this? Have a look at that. It's my live thumbnail creation. It's a new thing we're doing. And hi, you're with Scott. This is Ganji Kid. I'm Grave Kipper. This is the stream. It's midnight. It's always midnight. It's 14:56. It's coming up to 1500 hours in the UK. GMT. This is your right ear. This is your left ear. This is the middle. That's fine. What do you get? What you need to do? Not you. Him. I'm the Grave Kipper. I just noticed, actually. I've just... Can't believe I'm such a chuffer. Is it on the big face? Yeah, it's on the big face as well. I've just noticed I've still got the green screen technology rolling, so it's made my Cheetos hood look even more flaming hot. And that's why I couldn't get the colour balance on my face. I've been messing with that for about 10 minutes. Got something better than that. Web browser. Who's this chuffer? Who's this chuffer here? That's Dermot O'Leary. You know Dermot O'Leary, don't you? You know Dermot O'Leary from the telly in England. Well, I've got something quite interesting for you today. Let me just check I can be heard. O'Leary, don't you? You know Dermot O'Leary from the telly, right? And let me check that Dermot O'Leary is in sync.
After 63 hours of sleep
Check
deprivation. Join me tomorrow night, 10 o'clock, Channel 4 to find out.
From the telly, right? And let me check that Dermot O'Leary is in sync.
After 63 hours of sleep
Check
deprivation. Join me tomorrow night, 10 o'clock, Channel 4 to find out.
From the telly, right? And let me check that. Okay, we're all good. We're all good in the hood. Because this is from the telly. Now, you're not supposed to watch the telly on your stream, you chuffer. You're not supposed to watch the telly on your stream. Well, it's kind of like a react, isn't it? I'm going to do a react. I'm not going to watch the whole chuffing thing. Although we're kind of going to watch the whole series. This is called Shattered. Shattered. It's from the UK. It's a TV, thing on the old TV. I'll let them tell it. Why don't I just let them tell it?
This is Shattered. There are 3 things you need to know about this show. 1. Over the next week, 10 people are going to go without sleep. 2. There's £100,000 at stake. And 3. Nobody knows whether this can be done or what will happen.
There you go. Nobody knows whether it can be done or even what will happen. They're going to stay awake. That's the plan. Stay awake. They're going to stay awake for like 4 or 5 days. I don't know how many hours. He just said it then. I forgot already. And it's like Big Brother. Check it. When I'm on a mic, I'll wreck it. I'll show you some bits and pieces that you'll recognise. It's like Big Brother. Look. Chuff off with your adverts. The most annoying things. Like I'm ever going to buy you a stupid box now. Like I would have bought a box of delivered vegetables to my door maybe, but not yours. After I've seen your adverts, they've annoyed me. So this is like the Big Brother house, look. And this show was actually made during the off season of Big Brother. I'm just going to move my windows around so I've got everything in my windows because I need that. This show was actually made in the off season of Big Brother, so it's featuring the Big Brother people, Dermot O'Leary. It's got the Big Brother studio. It was made in 2004, so it's not new. It's not new, but you'll see it looks quite Big Brother-y. They've got the big house, all the people live in the house, there's cameras. It's very Big Brother, but they took it a little more seriously. They had a few doctors around and a few scientists around, because in the early days of Big Brother, I don't know if you remember this, but in the very first early days of Big Brother, that was a little more science-based as well. That had a few psychologists kicking around. It was, they did try and pretend they were doing a social experiment at some point. This isn't really a social experiment, although it is. What it more is just an endurance competition. Who can stay awake the longest? You've got to stay awake the whole time. They do have little sleep breaks. I found out later on, years later down the line, that I think after every 48 hours they give them a sort of half-hour little actual like health break where they actually do get to do some sleeping, but they don't sort of put that in the show. So apart from that, they have to stay awake the whole chuffing time. So let's watch a bit of Shattered together. I'll do the old, you know, reacting. These first episodes, there's not much going on. They enter the house. They're like Big Brother contestants.
On this already, and the last test we did took place just before Christmas. We took 6 volunteers and ran our longest experiment to date. 4 days and 4 nights without sleep. By day 3, they barely knew where they were or who they were. Here's just a little taster of just how mental our guinea pigs went. As the hours pass, examples of erratic behaviour are becoming more frequent and more acute. Their conscious perception is beginning to merge with their unconscious, and levels of confusion are at an all-time high.
When did they do that? When did that room change?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So this is test week. This isn't the real thing. This is just like they did a test. Interesting. These are probably runners from the show.
But it hasn't.
My bracelet, I switch it from wrist to wrist, but I can feel it. Even though I'm wearing it here, I can still feel it on this wrist. Hang on, I'll get it in a minute.
Called Freddie.
No, it won't. I can't remember anyone's name.
So we're expecting some weird behaviour. That's what they're saying. We're expecting some weird behaviour. Let's meet our guests, eh? Let's meet our chosen, selected housemates. Now, the funny thing about this is that this is in the Hey There, Big Brother. So half of these people kind of think they're there to win some money on a game show, you know, that they're going to be Big Brother. So they've got their personalities. Do you know what I mean? They've got their personalities. And some of them aren't worried about their personalities. Some of them are quite worried about staying awake for 4 days. So, you know, it's a kind of combination of different people.
Oh, this is mental.
The boys are hot on their heels.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh my god, it's amazing.
How you doing, alright? Like,
Like, she's looking at the cameras. She's like, oh my god, like, you know, she's in this for the TV show. So
yeah, the sci-fi film.
Look, come look at this.
Wowee! What the hell is that?
You can just do stuff.
Oh, I like the medical room. Hey, look at this.
How cool.
It's really bright. This is lovely. These walls are right back. It was just like
This is Chris. He spent the last 10 minutes transforming the trendy stacking sofa into a pile of cushions.
Chris performs the Tower Run. Do you know?
definitely getting a bit of TV personality thing vibe going here, aren't we?
That was like really slow motion and really awful, but
It was like,
I don't take myself too seriously. I just have a laugh, and I don't really care what people think. Though I do act like a bit of a joker most of the time and just muck around and stuff. But I can be serious, and I do take things seriously. I take this quite seriously because potentially I could do a lot with this money.
They've been in the lab for an hour, and already thoughts are turning to the competition. It's important for them that the prize fund doesn't drop, so they're discussing methods for keeping each other awake over the week ahead.
Maybe we should talk about systems we can implement to make sure people stay awake because they're scared to sleep.
What the reason is, there's 100 grand in the kitty, right? And if you fall asleep for more than 10 seconds, if you give it 10 seconds of that, then you lose £1,000 out the kitty. Every day, or I think it's every day because it was on for a week. Every day you lose people. There's like a competition at the end of each episode, and so and so has been eliminated. So there's a want to win the money, but everyone here knows that only one person's walking away with the money. So if you do your little sleep, if you mess about, it doesn't matter to you, you're out. So some people here are quite concerned with the money and the winning. And
one thing I was thinking of, I call it the window press. Okay.
no, we're not doing the window.
The window press. Just hear me out, okay?
eyebrows
It's basically
are
it's a penalty, okay? So if someone falls asleep, right, the whole group strips them butt naked, okay, and then we press them up against the viewing window for 10 minutes. And after that, we turn them over and do the other side.
time out. Let's do that with you, okay?
Yeah.
All of you put together would not get all my clothes off, and then you would definitely not get me to pressed up against that window. No way. That ever going to happen. Because you would end up with more injuries than you would be happy to accept.
Okay.
So I've got my essay
Oh,
written.
lovely. I love the
And I've been
adverts.
working
They're
on
my
it for
favourite thing. So I did an essay, but I'm not very good at, basic literacy. So I cheated and used the internet.
Age 6 and 20 months, and I'm so used to sleepless nights.
I was going to say, if she's a mum of 2, she knows what it's like to have to just stay awake when you have to just stay awake. But that's one thing. But 4 days awake is another thing.
Unbelievable. Yes, I'm loud, bitchy, and impatient. But with this hard exterior and a soft, gooey centre. Like a good mint.
Chris continues to size up the competition.
Have you prepared for this in any way? Have you read up on sleep studies? There isn't really that much we can do.
You can do, yeah.
That's what I thought, yeah. That's what I found.
I suppose, I mean, it just makes you more nervous, worrying about what can happen,
Well, we don't know what's going to happen. That's why I'm really excited. I don't know how we're going to feel after, that 54 hours I was up for in total. I don't know how I'm going to feel after that.
This is a really interesting conversation. Obviously, I've seen all this before, but this is a really interesting conversation because I like these 2 characters. They're interesting characters. And what's kind of happening is there's a bit of gamesmanship. He's saying, I've stayed up for 54 hours, so, I can do this and I'm going to be all right. But, into the next section, I don't know. And he's saying, I've studied sleep studies as well. So maybe he knows a little thing or two about sleep. Maybe he knows a little thing or two. And he's sort of sizing up the competition as well. As he's saying, like, how long have you stayed up for? And, what are you going to be like? And he's kind of like seeding the ideas in other people's minds that he's going to be tough. I've stayed up quite a long time here and I know a bit about sleep, And
I just really want to get to that unexplored territory just to see what happens. And I know it's going to be really hard, but at the same time, I'm really looking forward to it.
And this guy's a psychiatrist, so he might see what's happening to him here. Because he seeded the idea of I'm not looking forward to it. But, he might be looking for it. Jonathan here is probably letting this wash over him, and he's probably playing his own game, isn't he, in the long run?
Probably when I was a junior doctor, I went for about 50 hours without sleeping.
When I was a junior doctor, I went for 50 hours without sleeping. Now, that might be different to the other lad who went for 50 hours without sleeping when he was partying. When you're a junior doctor and you're on shift and you're, like, working and you're busy and... maybe he was studying as well. I don't know. That seems like quite a stressful environment to not be sleeping. So
it's probably the maximum. Generally, pretty affable. Get on with most people. Reasonably kind. Generally a bit drunken. Those things.
The group have now been awake for 18 hours. As it's the first night of the competition, we've designed a night of endurance activities to see who's got the stamina to cope.
I think this is so harsh. I can't believe that they... I can't believe they do this to them. This is, it's your basic, normal sort of Big Brother house, bunch of people, you've got a trainer, and they're going to make them do stuff that, you get the gist, they're doing exercises. But you're about to embark on a 4-day sleepless... you'd think the main thing you'd come into this with is... preparation, having had a good sleep, got a lot of energy stored up. You don't think you'd be doing a lot of exercise on the first day, do you? You just, if you're doing this for the competition, try not to do anything. These people, maybe it's good to keep you awake to have the blood pumping, but wearing yourself out cannot be a good idea. In this, I would, he's giving it some look. I wouldn't be doing that. I'd be doing the bare minimum. I'd like make it look like I'm doing something with my upper body like that. My legs wouldn't even be moving. I'd cheat it as much as possible. This is 100 grand at stake, and you don't want to be, you don't want to be wasting your. Oh my god! Look, now they're making the peeled potatoes. What a chuffing, boring. You'd be awake though, wouldn't you? You'd be awake. It's a manual labour job, so you'd just be chuffing away on the potatoes. What's happening here? Someone's getting blindfolded. It's like a hostage situation. You're going to stay awake for that, are you? You probably would stay awake, wouldn't you? Because, you've been put in a stressful position. But it's a bit strange, isn't it? Let's hear from Dean. Let's see what Dean's saying.
They see my true colours, but if you just see the sort of the first instinct of me, you probably think I'm... Can I swear?
20 hours awake. So now we're going into our first, you know, like, if you've been awake for 20 hours, you've got up at morning, haven't you? It's got to bedtime, 9 in the evening, that's 12 hours. 12, 13, let's say you get up at 9 o'clock. It's got to the evening, 9 o'clock, that's 12 hours. So 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, another 6 hours, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 1, 2, 3. This is 3 in the morning. This is 3 in the morning.
Just
Day
get
one.
on with what you're doing. It
If you
doesn't
didn't keep taking people in that other room, we wouldn't take so long over this.
Oh, she's getting eggy.
Quiet.
Such an expert.
And I don't think these people thought that this chap would be with them for this long. But he's put them through the mill, doing the exercises. And now it's 3 in the morning and he's still peeling potatoes.
In 14 minutes, because I want food.
Power to the people.
So, the game, I think it's fair to say, has begun.
Yes, Dermot, the game has begun. We have some studio bits that we're going to skip through a bit. They talk about these people with their families and stuff like that. And we get another chuffing advert. There's quite a lot of adverts on this, isn't there? No, that's amazing to me. That's amazing to me. They can chuff off, of course. Right, thanks.
Very outgoing.
Yeah, oh, I'm very outgoing.
It's like, you know, Major.
A few of these people, they're like, oh, you know, I'm outgoing, I'm this, that. Because they feel like they've got the camera on them and they're doing their Big Brother interview. Forget that. It's not about that. It's about, can you stay awake? Isn't it? It's about, can you stay awake? Claire is a police trainee.
Bubbly, fun and happy. Really, that's just sums me up altogether. I'm like that all the time. I can be stubborn. I have to admit, I've got this little stubborn streak through me. If I have a challenge and I set my mind to it, then I have to do it.
Sounds like ideal for being a police person, doesn't it? Bubbly and fun and stubborn.
To their own devices for the last 2 hours.
It's called couch surfing. Whoa! I'm not very good at it.
Okay.
Well, I can be
Jimmy.
quite provocative, but in a nice way. I come from a part of the world where that's affectionate, is when you sort of rib somebody. I'm at my worst when I've been drinking, and I'm not going to be drinking here, so maybe that won't rear its ugly head, but also some of us have been talking about the fact that after a few days sleep deprivation, you start feeling quite... And we've seen some of the first involuntary microsleeps.
Seemed like it was edited there. You start feeling a bit drunk. You start feeling a bit drunk if you haven't had much sleep. And these are involuntary micro-sleeps. Now, there's something that I do know about sleep, that actually keeps you awake a lot longer. Even just a few seconds of micro-sleep can actually recharge your brain quite effectively. But some of these people are not going to last, are they? If on day one, you've got to get through 4 days of this. If on day one you're falling asleep, you're not going to last.
Help me, God. Oh.
Bit more studio stuff. This is Dermot O'Leary himself, the presenter. He's going to stay awake himself for 50 hours to see what it's like. Or at least 40 hours or something like that.
If I was in, I'd go to bed. I weirdly feel a lot better than I did an hour ago, so...
5 in the morning, look. 5 in the morning and he's had it. 5 in the morning he's had it. Now, I'll tell you what. I've stayed awake for 2 days in a row, I think. Like this first night awake, I'm pointing over there at the cat. This first night awake, Dermot, if you can't hack it on night one, you ain't hacking it, full stop. Like, the first night awake is no bother, you just don't even notice you stayed awake all night. That's how I feel. Have you not stayed up all night playing on your Game Boy? You know, the sun comes up and you think, oh, chuff. It's the next day now, I might as well stay awake. Not for Dermot. He fell asleep.
You're going to take all this. People are going to say you fell asleep. I haven't fallen asleep.
Did you just nod off?
Yeah. It's 5:38 on Saturday morning. I think I'm through the worst of my night now. I feel awful though, and I don't know if I can keep this up. I really don't.
If I stay in the house, I know that I'll just end up watching telly and lying down. And if there's nothing on, I'll just start snoozing. So, I need to keep alert.
I recognise this one. Look, there's a squirrel there in shot. I recognise that one. You go for a walk in the brisk air and you think, oh my God, I feel like I'm going to die, but it's bright and sunny, so I'm going to stay awake.
It was like the ring of power. It's like, come to me.
It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I was trying to get all the stuff out of the shed just to sort of rake these leaves. And I got the bucket, and then I forgot the rake. I got the rake, and I forgot the clothes, and I got the clothes, and I forgot the gloves, and it's just one long saga after another. It's 9:45 now, and 3 or 4 of my very good friend, very old friend, just arrived to go and keep me focused.
This is a difficult one. Night number 2. This is where you probably think you might want to go to bed. But surprisingly, if you haven't slept through that first day, then surprisingly, I find that you get to this night and you're like, actually, do you know what? I could just stay awake all night playing on the old Game Boy. I don't have to go to bed on the night number 2. It's the morning after night number 2 that's the worst.
And hopeful. See, once again, end of a sentence, nothing happens. No.
So boring.
Sorry.
Oh, he's going for the daredevil moves. Right now, I'm okay. I'm now about to begin the process of pea counting. I don't want to do it. Please don't make me do it. I'm not counting all these.
Well, if that's right, you won't need to.
No, I'm not counting all these. No one told me I'd have to count all these peas.
He does seem drunk, doesn't he? He does seem drunk. 46 hours awake, and pea counting, that's going to come back to us in a minute. But 46 hours awake is pretty impressive, isn't it? You know, it is pretty impressive. And he does seem... he seems lucid, but he seems a little bit drunk. This is where I usually crash, I think, about 50 hours in. The morning of the second... No, I can't... I'm starting to get confused myself now anyway. But, yeah, he does seem pretty tired,
No one told
doesn't
me
he?
I'd have to count all these peas.
We just got out for a walk, and which normally clears my head, but I've come back in, and I don't know what it is, but I'm absolutely exhausted now. When I'm not hallucinating, but I'm looking at things and squash immediately. That mirror just squashed, and that door just squashed. I think I need to get some coffee down me.
He says he's not hallucinating, but he's looking at things and they're squashed, like that mirror just squashed and the door just squashed. So he is hallucinating, and he's reasoning it out as if it's like normal. He says he needs to get some coffee. Now, I argue, I'm drinking tea here, I argue that coffee's actually not your friend when you're trying to stay awake for a long-term time, because it gives you that pep up and then it leaves you and you go like, oh, I'll crash, and like you think you might fall asleep at the end. Like, I don't really like the coffee. I don't think that's necessarily the best thing. But at this point, he's been up for 2 full days. He's been up all night the first night. He didn't go to bed. Then he had a full day. Then he's been up all night again. And he's about to go into day number... So he did day number 1, no sleep. Day number 2, no sleep. He's about to go into his 3rd day. I've done this before, and I've stayed up all night and gone into the 3rd day before with insomnia.
That was all very strange. I haven't slept for 48 hours, so I've absolutely no intention of falling asleep now.
He's not making much sense. What I tend to do in these hours before the day gets started is the hours between like 5 and 9 or 12, or when the world gets started, is it's like you feel like, oh, I can't quite get up out of bed and be alive and in the world, because, you know, everyone else is kind of still asleep. And then like when the world starts to get busy and you go, okay, I'll come out now. And I actually find those hours again good. You know, if you're staying up all night playing World of Warcraft or Hearthstone or whatever the chuff it is on your Game Boy, then that's the time that you're getting some extra good hours. And then it's on to day 3. I wouldn't be sitting there on the sofa just watching the telly. That'd send me like... You have to do stuff.
Yeah. It's now...
It's interesting because when you're I've been insomniac over the years before. I'm all right now, I think. I'm better anyway. Not best fixed, but better. When you're... get confused myself now. Like, you'd think, oh, well, you know, it's good that you're falling asleep because you want, like, you don't actually, like, you get this, like, you don't sleep because obviously you're sat in a room and you, like, you fall, like, you know, you don't get any good sleep. You fall and you're confused and then you wake up and, like, then when you actually go and lie in bed, it's still not like, oh, okay, fine, I'll just fall asleep. It's weird with insomnia. And that's why sitting there doesn't benefit. You'd think, oh well, if you sit there and then you can fall asleep, that's good, isn't it? But no, because it's not really like proper sleep. You just sit there feeling like zombified. It's better, I find, to actually keep my brain engaged and keep the lucidity.
It's now 7:05 approximately on Sunday morning.
These last few hours, he's taken hour by hour with his updates. Before it was like, you know, it's now 48 hours later, and this one it's like, okay, it's 10 minutes later, I'm really tired now. You're not going to do this last day, are you, Dermot?
Which means I've been awake for 48 hours. If that's
you only did 48 hours.
What our volunteers have to go through, then I genuinely pity them. I really do, because it was hellish, if I'm honest with you.
You did 48. I do that as a, oh, I don't anymore, but I used to as a routine sort of, I'd do, yeah, probably about that plus into the day, and it's easier to sleep in the early evening of that third day than any other time I used to find. So I'd get into that 48 hours, and I'd do another sort of 12, wouldn't I, maybe? I'd definitely get through midday, definitely 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. About 6 o'clock in the afternoon, I'd start thinking this is a good sleepy time. 7, 8, 9, I could crash. If I'm still awake by midnight, it really is an issue. So we're saying 48, and then we're sticking on to that another sort of 54, 56, something like that are my levels. And then I sort of sleep for 18. Sleep for 18 hours, not 12, not 9, but sleep for 18 hours, and then do another 40-hour run. That's how I used to roll.
My house is a lot tidier than that now. I'd just like to point out, thank you very much. Okay, if the world was wobbling for me after just a night and a half, think what our guys are going to be like this time tomorrow. 24 hours of sleep deprivation. We asked our participants to count peas.
This is cool. So they're giving them all a jar with, oh, this is another advert. Like, wow, how many adverts? I'm sorry that you have to be exposed to this schlongery. Right, these are peas, and peas go in the jar. Simple, isn't it? Simple. It's like counting sheep. That's going to send your brain wild.
24 minutes and 23 seconds.
And they give you numbered time updates. It's going to send you loopy trying to do that. The best, they're making them count them in one at a time. But, you know, you've got to do it in like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, I've done 10. 1, 2, 3, 20. I've got a 20. You know, you've got to do it in little increments like that. Otherwise, you'll lose yourself, won't you?
180 seconds remaining. How many? You now have 575 seconds remaining.
What did you get?
2498.
I've got 2, 1, 2, 3.
1, 4, 6, 2.
They seem all that different, but I reckon that's a trick.
What's the matter, mate? Are you getting your numbers jumbled up?
No.
No? You sure?
Just repeated them.
You sure? 27, 39, 42, 6.
He's pushing him, isn't he? He's pushing some buttons. Are you getting your numbers jumbled up? Are you pushing number 24? He's a bit of a one, isn't he?
65? 0.14159265423.
Do you know what I say to that?
Shh, they're still counting.
What weren't they told? Well, if they can remember the number of peas in their jar correctly, they could save themselves from tonight's live elimination challenge.
Oh, you want that, don't you? See, at some point, this show is really weird. At some point, it crosses over between Big Brother. Like, you need that live elimination challenge and all that. But really, you know, you need to make sure that these people are safe when they're going through quite a stressful time. So you've got the doctors. It was early days in Big Brother's progression, so they haven't gone full scale, like just don't care about you, just exploit you and let's make it wild. They do care a little bit, but they still do this live round at the end, which is quite fun.
So that is what happened earlier on today. Let's hope they were paying attention. The 4 people who showed most deterioration and who will therefore face tonight's challenge are Christopher. Appreciate that. Yeah, okay, you are now playing to keep...
Let's just skip it on.
...the place in the lab and your chance to win £100,000. You haven't been told what tonight's elimination challenge will involve. I can now reveal it's all to do with peas.
Oh, no.
Now, you'll probably remember that earlier on today, we set you the task of counting a mountain of peas, okay? I'm now going to test your memory. All I need you to do is write down the number of peas in your jar. Whoever gets furthest away from the correct total will leave tonight, okay?
It's interesting, this is, because Chris is there, the policewoman's there. They seem quite perky and up for this. And I think being under the studio lights in this environment is slightly different from just sitting it out, isn't it? I wonder if this gives you any benefit. Like, if you're trying to stay awake, or if you accidentally stayed awake, or if you can't sleep, whatever, the different environments thing, although I don't like going places like the supermarket, it absolutely does my head in if I haven't slept. I can't really explain how awful it is. But the different environments thing keeps you sort of like if you're just sat in the same room for a long time goes out the window and you don't know how long it's been, and it can be a long time, a short time, and you know, you can start to lose it a little. But if you get in different environments and do things like Dermot was cleaning up the leaves earlier, then I think it does make a difference. I think it does help your brain to sort of keep going in small chunks rather than one continuous, arduous chunk.
Just write the number on the card. Don't do it yet. Easy, tigers. Now, you all had different numbers, so no point doing a bit of copying, okay? You've got 15 seconds. Your time starts now. You're 19 out. So, Chris, you... Claire. Christopher, you are 2 out, okay?
Wow, 2 out. That's not bad, is it?
Okay?
Damn right.
Good. Claire. 2,402. The correct number is on the screen, okay?
Not bad, but not good enough to make a police officer.
With your friend. Position with 9 peas in your jar.
I'm being honest, I guessed right, because I got all muddled up. 3,176 peas.
Hold that up for us.
Oh, she's out. She just guessed a random number, so she's gone.
Your answer, okay.
And Jonathan's in this final round as well.
But the correct number will be on. You are 2 out.
2 out, so he's still doing quite well. It's interesting. I wanted to just show you. They said these people showed signs of deterioration, and I know that one of them had a little micro sleep at some point. Let me find that. They were watching a video. I'm watching a video. We're watching a video, you chuffer. Where's the micro sleep? And it cost them $1,000 on the old counter. Oh no, Scotty Hottie. Don't you pay attention to things? Where's my micro sleep?
Equal in length will be the first one there, and these two here are equal. Well, I'm sure most of you will agree that you can't really think about triangles without.
Remember, every time someone closes their eyes for 10 seconds or more, that constitutes sleep, and we deduct £1,000 from the prize fund. Take a look at this. It's Chris this afternoon whilst watching a video.
Involved in local planning and local building and so on. Over in Lincolnshire, you've got all the different drainage boards. And over the years, going back right to the 18th century, when large parts of Lincolnshire were drained, these drainage boards have managed the drainage. They understand how the flood tables work and all that.
This is really interesting, though, because the police officer, you know, the one with the ethics, the police officer, the trainee police officer, she's not bothered to wake him up because she thinks, oh, he's out. He's chuffed it up. He's going to be kicked out. So I'm not going to help him wake him up. I'm going to win. He's going to be kicked out. I'm going to win. These other two, they're saving everyone. Like, if the micro sleep happens, then you lose money out the total kitty. So whoever wins, they're concerned with the total prize fund, yes, but they're also saving everyone, you know, anyone and any indiscriminate here. Wake you up, try and keep you going, you know, as a team. It's interesting, isn't it? The police officer is in it for herself. She's selfish, doesn't care about anyone but herself, and she doesn't want to help the other person stay in the game. She wants to let them sleep. Maybe it's a mistake though, because this guy in this early stage on day one is getting a little sleep in. We saw him later on in the final round perform quite well. So maybe this sleep here helped him perform quite well later on. Maybe it's a technique. He said he'd studied sleep. So maybe it's a technique.
That sort of thing. And I think that there is a wisdom there that very often is ignored. And I'd like to see much more working within communities.
He was putting some faces there, wasn't he? But
ignored. And I'd like to see much more working within communities.
Putting some faces there.
Communities.
Was he sleeping? Was he messing about? Was he sleeping? Was he messing about? I don't know. Anyway, we lost one at the end of today's episode, didn't we? Look, you're going home.
He deserves to win it.
Okay, Ellen, thank you very much. A well-earned rest, I think. Congratulations.
Bye-bye. Couldn't even count your peas. What a chuffer, though, to have to stay up for 2 days in a row, count peas, and then get sent home.
Previously on Shattered. Chris is the first to fall asleep.
Understand how the tables work and all that sort of thing. And I think that there is a...
Salma begins to show signs of nodding off.
I'm just like really wary of the tiredness. Just the eyes. Eyes are quite tired.
And 10 are reduced to 9 as Ellen is the first one to be kicked off the show. Okay.
Brilliant. So, we're going to our next... So, got to remember, like, this is, for us, this doesn't seem so bad because we're just watching it, but this is actually now getting serious, isn't it? We're now into our sort of third day.
Without sleep for 41 hours.
Oh no, this is day 2.
In the night, the body's natural rhythms start to drop in preparation for a night's shut-eye. For our participants, this spells danger. So, to keep them stimulated, they have an hour-long night school. Tonight, Britain's leading expert on lying, Professor Wiseman, is going to school our contestants in the art of lying, a skill that may yet prove useful as the competition hots up.
Good. So we're going to be talking about lying, and more importantly, how to detect lies. We're finding out who's a good liar, who's not a good liar, and so on.
So they're in the position now where they've been up all night, they've done the next day, and then this is like Dermot was doing. You know, he was into his 48, 56 hour, wasn't he? He was like into that next. This is them about to push into that stage. And instead of sitting and watching the telly, they're doing something engaging, I guess, but it might be tiring.
Liars tend to do is look you straight in the eye. This idea of sort of looking away and stuff isn't true. And the liars are actually maintaining quite a lot of eye contact.
This guy that's doing the class was one of the psychologists that worked on Big Brother, I think. And I think he's getting double bubble for this.
They also tend to be quite static. They don't move around so much. So when you're telling the truth...
Oh, hello, Tree. Yeah, thanks very much for that. That's good. That's good. We do have lots of people who are interested in scoring the film for free, and I've got lots of music I did myself for free. The main thing we're looking for is someone to help produce it so that we can get it in the hands of someone who will help us license the music that we're looking for from... but we can have a look at this, absolutely. Yeah, I will have a look. Thanks. Yeah, it would mean that we could put it on the internet with no worries about licensing. That's an option, so that is something I will absolutely look into. Thanks. We can we'll talk film on I'll do it on maybe Friday on the stream again. I don't know. Yeah. You're
kind of quite animated about it. When you're lying, you're thinking through the lie. It's quite difficult, so you tend not to move around very much. So those are the kind of key signals.
They're taking it in turns to try and fool the others with a fib.
So what Jonathan's just seen is a picture, and below the picture either the word truth or lie. Mm-hmm. If he's seen the word truth, he's going to describe as accurately as possible the picture. If he's seen the word lie, he's going to describe a completely different picture.
The picture is of a...
No worries. Yeah, no worries. No, it's all good in the hood. I think there is a way of me exporting a low-grade version of the film as well, so that I can give someone a version that they can score along to. And yeah, I'm absolutely open to that idea. Like I said, we've got like a couple of it seems to me that if you make a feature film, not a feature film, if you make a film, like whatever, like there's lots of people who want to get their music out there. There's lots of people who are like able to offer, and there's also quite a lot of free music on the internet. And like I said, I've done a lot of music myself, but I was quite tied to this idea of the music that was written by Hugo Alphen, the Midsummer Wacken. So the music that's been used, I should make a list of those pieces and get you a copy of the list of those pieces. Because if we could do something with that was based on... Because the reason we've been... Sorry, I'm just going to pause this for a second and just randomly just talk about this. Hugo Alphen. Hugo Alphen was a Swedish composer, conductor, violinist and painter. So he's an artist. He was born in Stockholm and he studied... Oh, it's not studied, sorry. He lived in the same countryside, talking about the music, personal life, he lived in the same countryside that we filmed the film in, and the Midsummer Vacken and Swedish Rhapsody is the best known piece of music composed by Alphen. Is one of the best known pieces of music in Sweden, and it's like he's like Sweden's great composer, and a lot of his music was written with the woods as like a how do I explain it? Like inspirate. Like some people write a song for like a piece for like Elgar used to compose music, and a lot of Elgar's music was named after his friends. Like Nimrod was named after one of his friends. So he used to compose music with friends in mind. Hugo Alphen composed his music with the woods in mind and the countryside. And part of the film is that we're set in these woods and countryside. So his music is like I chose it as a artistic choice, and of course we're doing computer games in the film, and the film is you do remember me, okay, yeah. The thing is as well, I'm talking now, I'm just going to carry on talking, I don't care. The film itself is about computer games, yeah, but we are very analog in our approach as filmmakers. We're not showing a lot of digital images on full screen. We're in the woods, we're in the cabins, so we're showing that on a widescreen shot that I've actually used the silver ratio to widen. So we're about a sort of immersive in the Swedish countryside feel to the film. And of course we're talking computer games, we're making computer games, we're talking art, we're making art. But at no point in the film do I really want a full screen of a computer game. I like the computer games to be in the frame, so like you can see the game on the Nintendo Switch. Like right now, you can see my Nintendo Switch here in my hand. You know, that would be acceptable as a shot, but the full screen of the computer game is not acceptable as a shot, because it just takes you out of the Swedish woodlands and puts you in this computer world. So a lot of people have suggested to me, oh, we could do like 8-bit music for this, and we could do 8-bit music for that. And I was just like, you haven't got the idea of the film. Like, you know, the people making the games are not making 8-bit games anymore. They're making modern art pieces. So to tie in computer games with this, that's how they sounded in the 80s. Like, we're beyond that now. I mean, right now I'm listening to Fallout 4's ambient soundtrack, and it hasn't got any 8-bit in it. So I've had a couple of people suggest to me, like, I like this idea and that idea. If any musician wants to put, I'm quite open to any musician suggesting music to me and, you know, serving it up, and I'll put it over the film. Absolutely, no worries. If I get a list of these tracks that I've been using in the film, and any musician wanted to use that as a basis, I could accept inspired by Hugo Alphen instead of written by Hugo Alphen, although it would be lovely, because we visit the home of Carl Larsson as well, and it would be lovely if we could tie in these Swedish artists. One is the music, another is a place we visit, and a third would be this is the third Swedish artist involved. I think we talk about the way the paint was created from the sediment in the after they mined the copper, and that's why all the buildings in the area are red, and that's what created this red colour for the cabins. Like, we make a little nod to that Swedish heritage. So there's a lot of Swedish heritage throughout the film, so if we could find some way of working that in with the music, because I've already found a way of working it in with the music and it's perfect, it's just I don't have any, like, if we knew where we were broadcasting it, if we got a deal to broadcast it, then I could say to the people who own the music, this is where we're broadcasting it, and they'd say, all right, okay, we can do a contract for that, it's going to cost this amount of money, and then I could go back to the people who are broadcasting it, or, you know, the producer or whatever you call them, and say, this is how much money the license is going to cost, can you deal with that? You know, I don't mind paying a little bit of money for a license once we've got a deal to sell the film. You know, it's all a snake eating its own tail. So that's where I'm at with that. And yes, thank you. I really appreciate the help. I'm open to suggestion. This is the area I'd like to push it down. But if by the end of the year we've got no further with the pure, you know, ideological artistry, then we just move into the territory of just putting, you know, unlicensed or you know, free to me to use music throughout the film, which is, you know, an option. It's an option, and then I own everything and can put it out there on the internet whenever I want. The only thing that I can't broadcast at the moment in the film is the music. Everything else I own. So, you know, I get it that it might be a sensible idea to use music that I own, and then with that in mind, I've got quite a lot of music that I own. So, but it's not Hugo Alphen music, and it's not orchestral. And that's another aspect, is the orchestral. When we watch the trailer again, or if you see the trailer on the stream that we did, the orchestral vibe, it elevates what we're doing. It's not a it's a highbrow film about art, really, isn't it? It's about art and culture, and so by using an orchestral sound, it makes you feel that you're watching, like an art documentary in that vein. Music's quite powerful. So a lot of my music that I made, although I can put it over it, it doesn't fit what I'm making, so I didn't use any of it. Yeah, there's a few tracks in there that are more modern, and I think we've got the rights to that, or at least can gain the rights to those. But in general, it's that orchestral feel, especially in that first sequence where, this is Sweden, it's summertime, people are playing in the hills and fields, they come up to these cabins in the woods to have their little summer holidays, to retreat and unwind, and we've got these cabins and we're using them for something slightly different, for art and for to make a little utopic environment for these people, and that's backed by this sort of like this Hugo Alphen track that just speaks of that same thing. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. We're playing Shattered, aren't I? We're playing Shattered. Thank you for all your help, though. I do really appreciate it, and I will look into that. I will look into it. Absolutely.
Nice looking boy.
Is she lying or telling us the truth about Chris?
At its lowest ebb, one of the participants has to face the ultimate endurance ordeal, a task custom-made to make staying awake as difficult as possible. Every time someone closes their eyes for 10 seconds or more, the group are hit where it hurts. £1,000 is taken off their prize fund. So, deciding who is the fittest to face the challenge is vital.
Thanks. Yeah, that sounds great. Like I said, I'll make a list of the tracks that I've got. It means I've got to get the old hard drive out again, plug it all in, go through the film, write down every time I've got a music track used, and make a proper extensive list, because I haven't really done that yet, which is something. You still got to do that. I mean, I've got it somewhere on one of my files somewhere, but I'll do it again and just make sure I've got a list of the things we use in the places. I'll try and get a 980p edit of the film. If anyone's watching what I'm talking about now and thinking, what are you talking about, this film? You can go on Ganji Kid YouTube, which is the channel you're watching right now, and you can go down to our uploads, and you can just scroll down here, and it's in the stream archive. We're going to do it again on Friday. Indie Dev documentary film promo reel stream. There it is, Indie Dev documentary reel promo reel stream. You can see the independent documentary that I made myself about indie game development in the forests of Sweden, featuring people from Nintendo, people from Minecraft, people from the fella that made Candy Crush, and people that got games on Nintendo Switch, Xbox, and the guy that made Goat Simulator, and there's just so many people that are notable in this film, and people coming through as well, artists of tomorrow who are just having their successes realised today. So that's what I'm talking about there. It's called the Stugan film, the Indie Dev documentary film, and a documentary film about indie development. It's called the Stugan film, and that's what that is. And this is Staying Awake All Night.
Tonight's You Snooze, You Lose
So they've been awake all night for one night. This is night number 2.
challenge is a deep, relaxing massage, and it will last for 1 hour. You've got 5 minutes to decide.
Who feels fit to do it?
Well, we have underwear on.
I think I can do it.
Okay, so who here thinks they could really do it and does feel like they can do it?
Can we ask
Okay,
them?
1, 2, 3. Right, okay, we got 3. Okay, so you guys are going to draw straws, okay?
He's taking control as well, isn't he? Quite early on, that fella.
Look, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. Sorry, 1 minute, 1 minute. Seriously. 1 minute. Only go for it if you believe that you can do it.
Yeah.
That's what I said. Because that's a grand or maybe 4 grand you're going to lose.
And I'm not
You roll.
The voices are piping up now, aren't they? You can hear they're all concerned with the money, aren't they, all these people? And it's a competition at the end of the day, isn't it? But the voices are piping up now. Who wants the massage? So do you think you'd stay awake if you had a massage? After 2 days awake, do you think you'd stay awake if you had a massage? I think I probably would. I think I'd find it difficult to sleep with someone, rubbing me and touching me.
Highest wins, okay? Highest wins. 5.
5.
1. Got to roll 6.
Okay, Lucy, we're all behind you, love.
Right, Lucy.
Don't worry, bite your lip.
Lucy, go,
It doesn't matter.
Lucy, listen. 99 balls of beer on the wall if you're allowed to sing.
I can do it.
Just talk, even if you sound like a madwoman.
I'm bound.
Okay, Lucy, do you want to go into the bathroom?
They seem quite concerned, don't they? The way they've gathered round her before she goes in, they seem quite concerned that she's not going to make this.
To take your mind off sleep. After any illegal sleeps, a klaxon will sound to indicate that £1,000 is lost from the prize fund.
Oh my God, they know the money's going to be going down, and I think it's a bit cheeky to put her in a blanket like that, isn't it?
Really awake.
So how long do you keep him up there for?
I'm getting sleepy.
And me.
10 minutes?
Yeah.
It's horrendous.
Until your leg drops
How do you want
off.
us like in there for her?
And then you know it's long enough.
How do you want us like in there?
I'm not being funny
Yeah.
or anything, but I think we should have picked the strongest person for it, the most awake.
She ain't even got in there
Yeah,
yet.
but who is the
No,
most
but
awake?
I'm just saying, like, it's all right. I'll give you an instance, like for rugby, yeah. You don't select your weakest player to take, you know, a kick for you, do you? You select the
We're
strongest
saying
player.
don't put a winger on as
But
prop.
Dean, who is
Yeah, but
most awake?
essentially it's the weakest player anyway.
Sorry,
I
God,
don't know. I don't
Oh,
know.
God, then. You don't put a winger on as prop. Like, what? What? What does that
To be
mean?
honest, it's going to be a...
I know what that means. You don't put a little fast runner in your big scrum lineup. I get it. I get
bloody
it.
good massage.
Yeah. So either
Isn't
way,
it?
yeah.
Of course it is.
It's,
Yeah.
it's going to be a bloody expensive massage.
I reckon that it will send her to sleep.
And it's interesting at this stage, you know, in this sort of mental game they're playing, he's so confident. He's like angry at who they've sent through because they're taking his money, remember. He thinks he's going to win. So he's like, oh, we should have done this, we should have done that. That's cocky, isn't it? That's confident. It's confident. He's displaying his position as, I think I'm going to win. So at this stage, that's not necessarily the best thing to do in a competition like this, because then you're going to be putting yourself up there for people to say, oh, don't know about him. He thinks he's going to win. Oh, she did it, look. No problems. More adverts.
With no breaks, and they still have to make it to Saturday. After a night of stimulation and fun, where most of them seem to be coping pretty well, there's a bit of a downward spiral. Here's what happened to them today.
You'd think there would be, wouldn't you? I thought it was going to be adverts then. You'd think there would be a downward spiral. This is like the third day now, isn't it? I get confused myself.
It's chilly.
Dawn breaks on the second morning in the lab. The participants have now been awake for 48 hours and are feeling the strain.
I thought it was 48 hours earlier. They did definitely tell me it was 48 hours earlier, didn't they? This is day number 2, so it's not even that difficult, is it? At the moment, you've stayed up all night. Hang on, let me think. 9 in the morning, you wake up, right? 9 in the night, it's 12 in the night time. That's 12 hours. 9 in the morning, you wake up. That's 24 hours. 9 in the morning, it's night time. 9 in the morning, you wake up. So yeah, you're into the second. This is actually tough. This is what Dermot was doing. Yeah, this is you've stayed up all night, you haven't gone to bed, and then you've gone through that full day. Then you've stayed up all night and you haven't gone to bed. This is the second day of that, isn't it?
Good morning.
But help is at hand. This is Kate Marlowe, the country's toughest motivational coach. If anyone can inject some energy into tired bodies, she can. But not all of her students seem keen to learn.
What I would like to do this morning is some work with you. First of all, to help you cope with...
I bet this is what most teachers have in the UK, is a class full of people who don't even want to be there, so tired, have been playing on the Game Boy all night, can't stay awake. But that's what they all have. Interesting as well in this show that they give you these things to keep you awake, don't they? If you were just at home, it would be a lot harder to self-motivate, but having these activities to do, yeah, it makes it easier, I think.
The first exercise is designed to invigorate their minds with a spot of facial gymnastics.
Look to the left, centre, right, centre, left, centre,
He's going.
right, centre, down to the right, centre, up to the left, centre, down to the right, centre.
He's going.
And look up to the right, centre, down to the left, centre. Okay?
But in spite of expert guidance, fatigue is finally catching up with tough guy Dean.
Stretching out.
Oh! It's all those muscles,
You okay?
mate.
What happened?
man.
Huh? Right. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Undaunted, Dean rejoins the group.
Are you all right now?
I keep on seeing things like running past me.
Okay.
I'm nearly passing out here. I'm trying.
That's a bit weird, yeah. I once drove. I saw these birds coming out the side of the bushes. I think there initially were birds coming out the side of the bushes at one point, but once that set my brain off, I saw them the whole way.
As they clock up the waking hours, the participants are trying every trick in the book in the battle with their eyelids. With the exercise only serving to tire them out even more, we're beginning to see new and more extreme symptoms of sleep deprivation.
Trying to decipher when things have happened is really difficult. It's getting hard now. You've seen I did a video diary yesterday. It's confusing because I thought I didn't do one yesterday and I did one the day before, but I probably wasn't even here the day before, was I?
I totally agree with that. It becomes very confusing. Someone will say to you about, like, you know, what happened yesterday, and you don't know which day yesterday was or how many hours it was or whatever. You know, insomnia really kicks your ass on that. It's hard to know how to plan or what to do because you don't know when you're going to feel like you can sleep and wake up again even. You don't know, you know that you're shattered. That's the main thing, you know. So you know not to book anything in the next day or the day after, but, you know, what happened yesterday and what appointments have you got, and that is really difficult,
So we've been here 2 days. Is it 2 days?
As the edges of reality become blurred, some are seeing their first hallucinations. Short-term memory loss is common, and the powers of communication are failing them.
I do know that, like I said, I think they do give them little half-hour or hour-long sleep break at this point in reality, but they don't tell you about it. They don't tell you about it because, you know, you can't have people falling over and having seizures and things, can you? So.
Oh, poor babbies. OK, joining me now are two people who will be helping us understand some of the mayhem in our sleepy contestant's mind. Dr. Gareth Smith, the shattered psychiatrist.
They used to do a lot more of this in Big Brother. They used to do a lot more of these psychological pause for thoughts and conversations. And then it went a bit more like Russell Brand and Big Brother's little brother and, isn't she, you know, all a bit like that. But in the early days, it was a little more psychological based in some ways.
And Neil Stanley, shattered sleep expert. Has to be said. What are the big things you spotted?
I mean, basically, some of them are starting, Lucy and Chris are starting to show sort of slightly hysterical type behaviour. I mean, they're finding it very, very difficult. And we know in sleep deprivation, your reactions to situations are sort of slightly heightened. So they're finding it tough. But the others, I mean, Dean is also finding it tough. I mean, these sort of claiming to be hallucinations, they're just sort of visual events. I mean, it's like when you see something out the corner of your eye, rationally you know that's not a hallucination, but these guys have...
So it becomes more heightened?
More heightened. They believe it's something more important. But as time goes on, their hallucinations are going to become proper sort of narrative hallucinations where their dreams are overlaying their reality, so they will actually sort of have...
Interesting. So initially you see these little things that your brain picks up, and in day to day you just forget, oh, that's not, ignore that. But now, because you're having these like sleep deprivation hallucinations on day, you've been awake a full day, you didn't go to bed, then the next day you didn't go to bed, then you're on the next day, you start to see these things. Eventually they'll start to turn into full story narrative, like, you know, you'll believe it, you're going through a process, but initially it's just a strange thing you see. Usually your brain would pipe it down, because your brain makes the things you see, remember, it's just wavelengths of light and your brain turns it into what you see. So initially your brain would say, oh, pipe that down, I'm not looking at, but because you haven't been to sleep for 2 days, you're on day 3, you start to think, what is that real? I don't know, I'm confused. And then later it'll become worse.
Proper hallucinations rather than just sort of...
How long do they last for, those, the ones with the narratives?
They can, you know, a couple of minutes. I mean, they can actually, you know, like the adverts in the middle of a programme, they would become slightly real to them.
Mm-hmm. OK, we've also seen some people nodding off. We can take a look at Salma. Let's take a look at that.
Oh, more sleeps.
Two congruent triangles. This one, well, again...
She's not going to make it.
Slightly different.
Although there might be an argument to say that doing this keeps you in the game longer because you're having a micro sleep. You're giving your brain that little tiny amount of recharge. I do know that a micro sleep, even for 20 seconds, does actually, you know, help to recharge your brain.
I mean, it was very much on the sort of transition. I mean, anything more than a long...
When I'm saying that, as much as we know about, you know, I don't know for a fact, do I? I just heard it, I read it somewhere.
Sleep, and, you know, mic sleep, you know, driving a car at 60 miles an hour, you only need 4 seconds to go off the road with your eyes closed. So, I mean, that's quite dangerous, and it's lucky she's in a controlled environment.
Yeah, sure. OK, so is what we're doing here safe?
Yes, I mean, they're being monitored. You know, we have given them sleep today when we saw that they were getting a bit, you know...
There you go, he told us they gave them some sleep. So it's not completely, you know, it's not fair, is it? They had an hour's sleep.
Close to hitting the wall. And, you know, there's Gareth on board all the time watching them, so, yes, it's...
This would be difficult, though. If you put me in that, then you gave me an hour's sleep after 3 days, I wouldn't get out of bed. You wouldn't be able to get me out of bed. I wouldn't wake up for you. You could try and wake me up and I'd be pretty cross about it, I'll tell you.
Safe. I mean, it's tough, but safe.
Yeah, OK. Now, Gareth, you've been watching all the action from the lab. You talk to them individually every day. So talk us through the group. How's it developing?
There seems to be two clear leaders coming forward in the group of people who put themselves forward as leaders. Chris and Dean are in competition with one another. They're trying to be the alpha male, you know, the guy in charge.
Chris's friends are behind you, OK? So watch what you're saying right now, OK? I mean, let's remind ourselves of what happened earlier today when they were discussing who should take the You Snooze, You Lose challenge for a bit of evidence.
OK, so who
we saw this earlier, didn't
really
we?
do it?
Or maybe one of the girls. I think people that are kind of quite full-on, they might burn out.
So is it about concern?
I thought that as well, you know, and when Dean fell over because he was wobbling with that exercise, being big and muscly and tough and being the big exercise one and all that, takes, you know, muscles need a lot more oxygen. It's going to be more tiring, isn't it? Being a little more laid back and being a little bit quieter is probably going to get you through this a bit better.
Serving sort of physical and mental energy.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to pace yourself. It's like running a marathon.
Neil?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's probably going to be the person that you least expect, who's just got the sort of mental willpower. Exactly.
Interesting. OK. And who are the people that are going to sort of flake it, are going to wig out? I mean, do you think anyone's going to walk?
No, I don't think. I think £100,000 is a lot to keep someone in a house, to be honest. I mean...
I agree with that sentiment. 100 grand's a lot to keep you in the house, isn't it?
Fine down there. Behave yourself. OK, well, it's been counted as one illegal sleep yesterday at 2 p.m. Which is £1,000. But bear in mind, 63 hours. Fine down there. Behave yourself.
I was looking down and it looks like my...
They're showing him the illegal sleep. We've seen this bit before, but now they're showing the whole crew.
You say you were picking your skin?
I was looking down and it looks like my eyelids are closed, but I'm peeling here and I was picking my skin. If I was to sleep, my head would actually go like that.
Disgusting. I think I'd rather
You saw you wake up?
No, I wasn't.
Look at you, look! Straight away, starting a fight down there. Behave yourself. OK, well, it's been counted as one illegal sleep yesterday at 2 p.m. Which is £1,000. But bear in mind, 63 hours, you've still got £99,000.
63 hours is pretty good, isn't
A
it?
few near misses. Sam, we did clock you at 6 seconds. So we are... Participants who face tonight's elimination will be the two people who showed the most deterioration in this morning's...
Sleep deprivation affects information processing. So what you have is the word of a colour coming up in that colour, and you have to
It's the Stroop test. We did this on stream. Very early days,
The
didn't
test
we?
is designed to measure time perception. The time perception is something that goes when you're sleep deprived, and it's just the ability to mentally measure time. And so the participants just have to press a button and press the button again after.
So these tests are going to do your head in, aren't they? If you haven't had sleep, doing the Stroop test, doing these things on the computer. On the other hand, I would warrant that sitting at the computer and playing a game, or doing something I like to do like Hearthstone, I could sit and do that for a very long time. So I'd be interested to find out how impaired you become, because cognitive function is, you know, it's something that's your main tool when you're on a computer game, isn't it? So interesting that people do it for very long hours, but you're maybe not at your peak performance. That's an interesting aspect of it, isn't it?
And Salma.
So they're going to put him through the ringer in...
Look at him in his face, look completely yellow. I would hate to get eliminated this evening. That would be gutting, especially as I brought 16.
Monday. You've got to make it to Saturday to have a chance of claiming £99,000 and counting. Jimmy and Sam are going this way. Very important. To open the door, you must push the handle, OK? Twist and push. Every time you try a door, that doesn't open, you must leave along the outside.
So what it is, it's just a memory task. You're going to go through the door, it's going to open or not. And if you fail, you're out, and the next person goes. And you've just got to remember, in order, you get lucky, of course, you know, it's a 1 in 3, it's luck. But you've got to remember which door it was. Like 1, 3, 7. It won't be 7, will it? There's only 3. So it'll be like 1, 3, 2, 1. You know, you've got to just remember that as you go through the doors. The reason this is so difficult, and I don't know if they outline the reason this is so difficult, I don't even if they know the reason it's so difficult, but recent studies have shown that when you enter a new room, and this is the truth, when you enter a new room, going through the portal, going through the threshold, sort of mentally cleanses and sort of mentally wipes, not wipes, but sets back your memory. So you might think, oh, you know, what have I walked in here for? You might have done that. What have I walked in here for? Going through the portal gives you a little bit of a mental reset. So that might make this game a little bit harder.
Time starts on my whistle, mate, all right? Okay. In 3, 2... Come on! First one right, second one wrong, so there we go. Very well. With a very, very good time now. Will you remember the way? That's what we want to know. Okay, that's...
Right-hand side, mate.
Handle. There's no handle there. Come round, it's okay. Okay, all the way back. Okay. Okay.
The flashing lights aren't helping either, are they? Those flashing lights will be doing it for me.
Will you remember the way? Oh, back to the start again. Jimmy, stop dropping the handle. Will you remember the way? How long have you got? Back to the start again. Jimmy, you're just gone over a minute.
I've just thought of a way of fixing this. So you could just put like a little lick on your thumb, yeah, like that. And as you do the door, just push. So you get a little smudge on the door, and if it's right, you've gone through it. You know, as you push it, just smudge it across. So if it's got a cross, it's correct. If it hasn't, it's not. You know, simples. She was dressed very 90s, wasn't she? She's dressed very 90s.
Okay, you clocked that, my friend, in 1 minute 19. Okay, so that's obviously the time to.
That's the time to beat.
Let me just check that dodgy second door. Watch out for that door handle in here, right?
I mean, it's obvious she knows which door is the second one because he's just pointed at it.
3, 2. First one, no problem.
She's taking this very slowly. I can't believe she did that. Like, it's a random choice, isn't it? Other than the fact that we know the door handle fell off, it's a random choice. So why would you stand there and take any time? That was the most foolish thing I've seen in a long, long time.
You're gonna go on my whistle, okay? In here, right?
Straight through. Like, choosing the middle one, I think, is a mistake. I think you want to start on the one side and work your way across, because you're going to have to remember, okay, I did the middle one, it didn't work, so now I do the left and then right. No, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go 1, no, 2, no, 3, no. You know, between those 3, one of them will have worked. So I've got my first number. Then I'm going to start at the start again. So on one hand, I suppose, like if I was not cheating, on one hand I'd have the door that I need to go through. On the other hand, I'd say the door that I've just checked. Yeah, so I go through door number 2 in this instance. Okay, first hand. I need to go to door number 2. I've checked one door. Actually, that's not going to work, is it? Because I'm going to run out of fingers quite quick. You know, you've got to keep it in your brain, haven't you? Door number 1. Might be tougher than I think.
First one, no problem.
But this is what... Why are you wasting your time? Why are you wasting your time deciding which door to go through? It should be obvious which door to go. You know, start on the left and work your way through. What's she going to do now? She's going to have a little think and pick, look. Oh, she's dropped the door handle again. No, she got it wrong. Middle one got it wrong. So it's middle one, it's right. She's closing those doors properly as well, isn't she? Like, what's she messing about then? Oh my god, this is getting like head test as well. She's just randomly acing it. Wrong. Oh, she got so close. Randomly choosing. I don't know if she's going to remember those random choices. See if you can. It's the one on the right. No, it's the one on the left. No, it's right again. Yeah. No, it's the one on the left. Or is it the middle? Yeah, left. Now it's the middle. Right. I suppose it's a bit like remembering a phone number, isn't it? You like left, right, right, left, or directions to somewhere. Top, middle, or bottom. Now it's the one in the middle. Oh, God, I'm getting confused. They all look the same. She's out of time, so you didn't make it. He's happy. He's going back. Shouldn't let him, I'll tell you what, you shouldn't let him sit with his mates there. They could easily slip him something that could keep him awake, couldn't they? They could easily give him a little bit of caffeine powder or something. They look like ravers. So, this would be awful as well, wouldn't it? Imagine you lose the competition and you've been up for 60 hours. You've been awake all day and all night and all day and all night and all day and all night. And then you've got to do this. And then you've got to be on the show and you've got to wave and you've got the telly. That would be chuffing awful, wouldn't it? That would be hell on earth. That would be awful. I wouldn't be doing that, I tell you. He's back. He's happy. We'll go with episode 3. There are 7 episodes, so we'll do episode 3 and then we will adjourn for the evening. Well, I've got to do Mental Health Monday later. We are doing Mental Health Monday on Twitch at 8 PM GMT today, so make sure you check us out with that.
And 19-year-old student Lucy is the first to walk from the shattered lab.
Ooh, we got a walker.
Last night and is as focused.
87 hours, hang on. So that's all day and all night 1 day. All day and all night 2 days. All day and all night 3 days. All day and all night 4 days. It's getting to the point where I couldn't, in my head, remember how long I'd been awake. I don't think I've been awake that long myself. I've definitely done 3 days. I don't know if I've done 4.
As ever. And lastly, Jonathan, still quietly determined. Now, every night our remaining contestants face an elimination.
I mean, this is really pushing it now. We do know they've allowed them to have little breaks, though, don't we? We know they've allowed them to have little breaks. So, a bit cheeky.
Hello. My name's Graham Smith.
They've had, at this point, they've probably had 2 or 3 hours sleep in hour-long sessions at the end of each, 48-hour chunk.
Prove to you that what you see is not what you think you can see.
Well, that was the plan.
Hi, Rachel. If I can introduce you to Rachel.
Hello.
I'm going to ask Rachel to stand for about 20 minutes or just under, and I want you to draw what you see. A good way to start is just draw a vertical line down the middle of your sheet of paper. Okay? From the top to the bottom.
She's naked.
Vertical line right down the middle. Now imagine that line...
In addition to fighting their own natural body clocks, as it cycles between sleeping and waking.
Oh my God! Imagine you're the model, and this chuffer's laughing at you. You got to stand there naked. You can't get out of it now.
States. Research has shown that the peaks and troughs in our emotions can also become more pronounced as we're deprived of sleep. We can lurch very quickly from euphoria to depression.
That's very interesting. That your lack of sleep will send you either super happy or super sad. That's very interesting, isn't it?
Late at night, euphoria is the more common.
And keep measuring and just make marks to do with what you're seeing. Don't trust what you see. Always check it. Intense scrutiny, it's called. Okay? Quiet reflection. Right, be free with the marks, go as quickly as you can, but every mark you make sure you can check, find some way of checking why you've put it where you have.
I'd find it very difficult to do this, actually. I'd find it...
your elbow, how far out is that?
After no sleep,
Okay.
sort of...
Where are feet then?
I'd have to go free... I wouldn't be able to check and draftsman my way through it. And these two chuffing laughing all the way through. They'd chuff me off.
6. Okay.
I'd be like, can you stop? I'm trying to concentrate. This would actually get on my nerves, this whole
Chris's work
exercise.
is truly a masterpiece.
Get the whole figure in.
Oh my God. No wonder they're laughing.
An hour later, and it's time to put the participants' endurance through the test. We know that the worst thing possible when you're sleepy is a boring, tedious and utterly pointless activity. So we challenged the group to sit in silence and listen to a shipping forecast.
Oh my God.
Of course it's going to...
If you don't know what this is in America, you probably don't. This is the shipping forecast. So on Radio 4, they do the weather, right? But it's Radio 1's the pop music. Way, the pop music. Radio 2's the music for people that have now grown up with pop music and are a little bit older and still want to listen to the music that's good, but they don't want to hear all that new modern rubbish. That's Radio 2. Radio 3 is like classical. Proper music, classic. Radio, I'm joking. Radio 4 is like the drama. It's spoken word. It's prose. It's drama. It's news. It's weather forecasts. It's plays, things like that. Radio 4. And on the shipping forecast, it often happens quite late at night. And what it is, it's the weather report for if you're out in boats at sea. So it's a really unique kind of weather report. If you've ever heard it, you'll know it. It's the shipping forecast. We're going to listen to it now, and you're going to see what they mean. Send you right to sleep, this will.
Here is the shipping forecast at 0500 hours GMT. Warnings of gales in Anglo-Saxon, Thopties, Hawkety, White Cliffs, Wong, Oregon, Balsanose, Risque, Fitzwilliam, Mardy, Harsh Isle and Egyptians. White Cliffs, Wong, Oregon, Balsanose, occasionally under, gale 8 for a while.
So what they do is they just say names of places, like, you know, you'll hear like Torquay, southwest, 45 knots, Dublin, southeasterlies with rising gales, 42 knots. Like, you just hear this constant stream of relaxing sound of just the names of places and how the wind's going to be and what the sea's going to be a bit like.
Risque, Fitzwilliam, Rubber Hammer.
How will they react to such a supersonically boring recording?
Risque, Fitzwilliam, Dutch Carrot, easterly 3 to 4 for a time, northerly veering northwest.
The participants are becoming even more aware of fluctuations in their physical and mental states.
All good.
I was listening to that and I was first of all trying to figure out what on earth it was going on about, and I didn't have a clue. I find it really hard to concentrate, but I'm learning that as soon as you get out of it, you feel fine, absolutely dandy. You just have to really work at getting out of it, because there's a point, I think, of no return, and you've got to work very hard not to get past that point.
She's interesting, isn't she? She's saying about how hard she's working to stay awake, but if you keep yourself out of it, if you just change that frame of mind, if you go through that doorway, if you go outside for a walk or do something, you can actually, like she says, like, you know, get back on an upward trajectory and not be falling down. That's not fair, is it? Pouring water on yourself. You turned it into a water fight. That will keep you awake.
It's the kind of thing you'd probably do maybe if you were at a party and you'd had a few drinks and you're having a good time with some good friends. Well.
Would you?
No, I don't actually think you would. No.
They are feeling the when you've stayed up for a certain amount of time, it starts to make you feel drunk, and they are definitely feeling that, aren't they? They're definitely feeling that.
For most, the early hours of the morning are the hardest to stay awake.
She's obviously had a shower or something, or maybe it's just because he wet her hair, I don't know. But it looks to me like they've just had their hour-long sleep break, doesn't it? And they've just had a little wash afterwards and woken up because they're all changed and they're all fresh.
Unfortunately for our participants, it's also the time one person must face the nightly "you snooze."
Yep. Look, she's got wet hair as well. Is it just from that water fight, or is it?
Lose challenge. Challenge is specially designed to test whether the
He's in a robe. Yeah, they've all just had a shower. That's going to help you out.
Participants have the mental determination and stamina needed to stay awake.
But in all fairness, 68 hours in, you know, 68 hours in, only a couple of hours sleep.
Every time they close their eyes for 10 seconds or more,
is to stay awake whilst cuddling Mr. Snuggles. Mr. Snuggles is a very cute, very soft teddy bear who'll be strapped to the chosen person for 1 hour.
Claire S.
Could you do that? What do you reckon?
Bye, guys. See you later.
Oh, good luck.
We'll do it. I will do it. I promise. Oh, that is one teddy.
20 minutes later, Claire has worked out a tactic. She's going to talk to Mr. Snuggles for the full hour in a battle to keep focused.
Jimmy is really, really cool. He's the captain, kind of team leader-y bloke. I think he doesn't probably see it much himself, but he's like a really good captain and team leader. He takes things slowly. He tries to get other people's ideas into consideration. Lucy was one of the girls that I basically knew first of all from the beginning of the show.
I wonder, because I talk to you for hours on end on stream, don't I? I wonder if that's going to help. If it was me, do you know what? If it was me, I might even consider... No, actually getting in sleepy mode wouldn't help, would it? Wouldn't help. I was going to say, I might even consider just taking a little micro sleep, a little like half-hour nap, and them saying, oh, you know, you lost your money, but I think you might get kicked out. I don't know, but maybe I shouldn't... maybe I shouldn't, what's the word, play with those dangerous... Maybe I shouldn't play with fire. But if I get a little sleep and none of them do, that's me got an advantage.
I can't think of anything else, but oh my God, I can't go on any longer.
Last night, at exactly the same time, Claire M. had similar trouble staying awake.
We've all agreed we've got our rhythms. Mine seems to happen between 3 and 4, and this is going to I'll continue to feel like this till about 7, maybe 8. If I'm lucky, it'll go.
Really interestingly, I find this as well when I don't have sleep, is that there's hours in the night where you kind of feel like rubbish because, like, it's hard to explain. The rest of the world isn't with you, and you're in your own like place. The rest of the world's either sleeping or, you know, sleeping, and night you're in your own place. And then as the world wakes up the next day, and as it goes back to normal, you know, as the sun comes up and the normal things, like 5 in the morning is not a normal time to be hanging out, is it? Doesn't feel very normal. It feels like a bit wrong. But as the rest of the world wakes up and goes back to normal, you start to feel more like in tune with it yourself and less like sleeping. What is she doing?
I don't think she can sleep like that.
Albeit maybe because she's roughly around my age. What I would do with the money, I've already said this.
She's still talking to the teddy bear.
If I was to win money, which I'm actually going to do, no matter what, I will win it. I have to.
Back in the relaxation room, Claire S. is doing brilliantly, and so is Mr. Snuggles. It's an angry biker, or maybe Lemmy from Motorhead, who's to say? Wonderful, well done there, Jonathan. So, we've seen sleep-deprived artwork, hysterical laughter, and a giant teddy bear.
So this was...
12 clubs.
And what was the other one?
King of Hearts.
10.
King of Hearts.
There's a 10.
So I can't believe it.
King of
I mean, no, I'm not being horrible.
It wasn't the game.
I've done it.
I swear on my life, it's King of Hearts. It's either 10 of Hearts or King of Hearts. I swear.
So we've got, hold on.
I will put 5.
No, please don't do it.
Or 10.
I wouldn't mind doing the memory tests and things, but I wouldn't like all the people shouting. That would really do my head in. That would definitely do my head in.
I didn't see that one because I wasn't looking.
That was the 4 of spades.
They're all wrong.
What about the other one?
King of Hearts, they're all wrong.
6 different people arguing about it.
So where do you
Do it yourself. Do it yourself.
Yeah, but you must
You put some cards down.
Okay.
You do it. I don't know. You're saying I'm a magician. Do it. You do it.
I'll do it.
Do it.
The way you handle cards is very particular.
Wish I was a magician.
Are you a magician?
Am I a magician?
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
Is he lying? Is he lying, guys?
Yes, he's lying.
I used to go to the Magic Club when I was at school. My friend, my teacher, he was like this really amazing magician.
She's got it into her head that talking keeps her awake, so she's doing it to anyone now. She's talking to the cameras. She's not talking to the other people, though, which is a bit weird, isn't it? And that magician, I wouldn't like that. Sent someone in there to freak me out and to mess with my head. I wouldn't like that. I wouldn't participate. I think she's quite sensible. Stay away from the thing that makes you feel uncomfortable and strange, and engage with something that makes you feel normal and human. Talking, the things that you know, reminding yourself the things that are important when it's tough. I think that's good.
What's going on?
No.
There's a big bucket of fag ends there, isn't there? They're having a good old... That's something else. I don't know. I think it's a bit unfair.
So look, that's the 4 of spades. Put it back down and then put it on the thing.
Well, what was he trying to prove to you by doing that trick?
Because smoking's going to help you to stay awake in certain aspects, isn't it? I don't know. It's got stimulants in it, though, hasn't it? So nicotine, you know, you're giving some people a bit of a different, you know, a bit of a drug boost there. They're doing their tests on the screen again. I'd love it in this room. This is the room I'd stay in. I'd be like, forget all that other stuff and all those people. Get me sat in there on the computer. Get me on Hearthstone or World of Warcraft, or, you know, get me on my Pokemon grind. I'll be here for 48 hours, you know, 56 hours. Come and get me when you need me. 64 hours, yep, 86 hours. Keep going. You know, I'll just grind it until you need me. That'd be a way to stay awake, wouldn't it? The exercise is probably helping. I'm surprised they haven't broken out into fights yet. No one's arguing.
It's fine. I could do that. Or I backed up one. Is there an end to it?
I don't know.
There's a timeout. I knew there's a timeout, but I never knew there's an end.
Out of time button. Well, there's an... Oh, so it's speed orientated as well. Oh, I see. Because I get myself into a happy rhythm. I know I don't get any wrong.
I don't stay awake anymore.
Lucy.
Oh, Lucy.
I can't do it.
Yeah, Lucy. Negative.
Lucy,
no,
you
positive.
Don't know, honestly,
look at
how
the positive
bad I felt
side.
Already, when she said I can't do it, if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you're right. She can do it because she is doing it. But she's telling herself that she can't because she doesn't want to do it. You know, some part of her is giving up here. And this is her outward statement of concession. I can't do it. She might be looking for support. She might be, you know, fishing for support. But actually, it feels to me like an actual outward statement of concession. I can't do it. And once you've stated that outwardly and, you know, put that idea in the world yourself, you're on the wrong thought. They're correct with their statements. You know, thought process, positive thinking, whatever. It's nice of them to try and help her along, but you know, she's already done.
Yeah.
Well, look.
And it highlights, she's come this far, but it highlights an aspect of her personality, doesn't it? That she's willing to tell herself that she can't do it. I think we've all got that in some ways, but you can't let that be your ruler. You can't let that be the voice inside you that guides you. You know, we've got, Bob Marley said we all have a voice inside us that guide us, but we've all got different voices at different times, and you've got to, you know, you've got to fuel the right fires. And I think she is at the point where she just is going to give in.
There's no positive side. We're not.
I mean, we know she's going to walk, so it's not clever of me to say that, is it? But
In the middle, yeah.
I'm too concerned.
What is there to be positive about?
Lucy decides to try the cold water treatment.
She's got mascara on.
Here's my towel. Towel?
You're falling asleep as well.
I'm not padding you completely dry.
No, yeah.
There we go.
Wipes your eyes.
Despite her best efforts, Lucy's finding it impossible to rise out of her body's current slump.
Babes.
All right, love.
there we go, she's crying now.
Oh, Lucy.
Do you want to try having...
They did say it would make you emotional, didn't they? But she's giving into it, isn't she? She's saying, I can't do it, I am emotional. She's got to, you know, this battle is in her own head. It's not these people helping her that makes the difference. It's in her own head.
Do some breathing things with me. Will you do that?
Mwah. See, I knew that would work.
With every waking hour that passes, the emotions felt by each member of the group are becoming more pronounced.
I can't be to run around in that place one more
They
time.
are getting edgy.
I've never felt as low as I have felt in these past few hours.
Yeah, good luck, everyone. Yeah, good luck. Oh, sorry, man.
Oh my God!
I didn't mean to get you.
For some reason at all, what they find funny, I don't tend to find as funny.
A little bit of edited manic laughing there. Let's see what the psychologists say.
Drunk, you know, you'd never have a water fight normally.
Sure.
But, you know, when you've had a couple of pints or you're a 3-year-old, it seems good fun.
How much more heightened is that going to get from now till Saturday?
I think the highs are going to become high, but probably the worst thing is the lows are becoming much longer.
Yeah, I think I agree with Neil. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. They're going to have to work together, I think, as a team to keep themselves going and, you know, start sharing how they're feeling about each other, with each other, which they haven't done yet, really.
Gentlemen, once again.
Interesting, like work together as a team. About how you feel about each other. They're strangers. Would you do that? Would you do that, or would you just say, chuff the team? I'm in it for me. 100 grand.
Shattered psychiatrist.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Do you like our nice tidy house?
God, you people making a mess. Hi, how are you doing? How are you? Want to come and have a chat? Okay, come on. Do you think this is a low ebb, or do you think this is it?
I'm not going to do myself any favours. And I'm not. I just can't. I can't do it.
You can see her smiling there at the relief that she's not going to do it. Like she's like shaking her head. I can't. It's strange to explain, but it's actually a relief for her, isn't it? The stress of doing it is the thing she's up against. So smiling her way through, I can't. You can, but you don't want to. So I'm not going to. And doing what I want makes me happy. I'm not going to. It's a bit of a selfish, sort of spoiled attitude. It's hard to say about, but okay, it's a really stressful thing. Maybe you can't go through this, but I would argue you are going through it. You're there right now going through it, so you can. But it's that you don't want to in the future. You don't want to do this anymore. And so I can't. I don't want to. I'm going to get what I want. I'm smiling.
But not even the money. I can't do it.
If I wasn't me, all right, if I was your mates from uni, okay, and your mum and dad,
Yeah.
what would they say?
I'd say go now, Lou.
Would they? And what would you do? Would you give them a big hug and say?
I'd say go now, Lou.
Would they?
They'd say, "Go now, Lou," and she smiled because they'd give me what I want, wouldn't they? If I was your mum and dad, what would I say? I think she's been spoiled. I think she's. I don't know this, but through this stressful time, she's revealed this aspect of her personality that when things get really tough, and they got tough for everyone, they're all in there going through it. She'll, take the easiest way out, and it is, relief. It feels good, doesn't it? So, what would your mum and dad say? Well, they'd say whatever I want them to say.
And what would you do? Would you give them a big hug and say, "Okay then"?
Yeah.
Then that's what you need to do.
Although we kind of talked her into it. Well, I don't know. You gave her the options.
Go now.
Okay. Want to give me a hug? I think you did really.
I'm unimpressed. You've walked. You're weak.
It's like a dream.
The Shattered Sleep experts recommend they get a 90-minute nap.
A 90-minute nap?
To restore them, it will slow down their decline and give them a fighting chance of lasting until Saturday.
See what I mean? A 90-minute nap. Now, if you're going to give me an hour and a half sleep every now and then, she just left just before that. She could have felt better after the nap.
The
Got to keep
participants
trying.
will survive on just 1 or 2 hours sleep per day.
Good night.
Good night, people.
And I wouldn't have that. I wouldn't all be
morning.
sleeping on mattresses in the same room like that. I wouldn't be having that.
Good night, Miss Piggy.
Good night, Jeremy. Good night.
For get me a proper bed, for Christ's sake. I've been awake for 2 days straight.
Wow, cool lighting.
And all those people talking, I'd be like, shut the chuff up. This is my valuable sleep time.
Oh, go on.
Rock on.
Right, shut up now.
Yeah, I bet they don't do anything, do they? But they just lie there asleep.
All
Can't
too
believe
soon,
they let them have a sleep.
it's time to wake up.
This would be the tough bit, wouldn't it? How are you going to get woken up? How are you going to get up? He's just put his glasses on. Straight up. I wouldn't be having it. You ain't waking me up. And the weird thing is, you're not waking me up, and I can't decide it in my brain. I can't work out why you can't wake me up. You just can't. I'm not going to have it. It's not like a. I don't reason it out. I don't think it through. They all look a lot fresher now they've had a sleep, don't they? Jesus.
She's absolutely fine. Everything's okay with her. Okay, her parents are out there. She's got a massive cheer. I'll send you all of her love. Don't worry about that.
Hi, Lucy.
But let's move on. We're going to talk about illegal sleeping. Now remember, you lose £1,000 every time one of you falls asleep. Closing your eyes for 10.
Who did an illegal sleep?
We have.
And they have a
several
defense.
hundred. Okay. Well.
Let's get it over with.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
It was you.
No, look! I opened my eyes, look!
He wasn't really asleep though, was he? But yeah, he did go.
You guys are still playing for £98,000.
98 grand, still. No one's sleeping.
Then. There's a tie break. We go on how many passes, okay? Fair enough. Jonathan, I'm going to start with you. Please take the hot seat.
So they're doing Mastermind Quiz. This is Mastermind Quiz. Bear in mind, these people have been awake for about 80 hours now. So this whole process is probably beneficial to keep you awake in a way, because you're, out and about and you're doing stuff. But also, it must be very difficult, mustn't it?
Jonathan, please state your name and profession.
My name's Jonathan Wood. I'm a psychiatrist.
Your specialist subject is answering the question I asked you before. Remember, you don't need to answer the first question, okay? Your time starts now. Which female politician was Prime Minister during the 80s? Who had a hit with Bat Out of Hell?
Margaret Thatcher.
Which American model was married to Mick Jagger?
Meatloaf.
Complete the phrase. A Rolling Stone gathers no...
Jerry Hall.
Wuthering Heights and Running Up That Hill were hits for which famous Kate?
Moss.
Complete Bruce Forsyth's famous catchphrase. Nice to see ya,
Bush.
Which town on the French Riviera holds a famous film festival each year?
Nice.
A rabbit lives in a hutch, a horse lives in a stable, a dog lives in what?
Cans.
What is the surname of the current Prime Minister? Tony...
Kennel.
Which band had a hit with one...
I'm not even getting this, but they...
Who wrote the novel War and Peace?
Oasis.
Which animated film featured the character Buzz Lightyear?
Tolstoy.
What is the first book of the Old Testament?
Toy Story.
I've started so often as you can answer that question. You passed. Okay.
He got a bit confused at the end, didn't he?
Jonathan?
Not easy.
Remember, you don't need to answer the first question, okay?
Yes.
Your minute starts now. What did the initials TV stand for? Complete the following phrase. Too many cooks spoil the...
Television.
Which boy band had a hit with Flying Without Wings?
Bros.
Which famous disaster was depicted in the film starring Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio?
Westlife.
Bros.
What is the name of Keith Harris's cute green duck?
Titanic.
Which British actor was the star of 4 Weddings and a Funeral and Notting Hill?
Pass.
Orville.
I forgot what the last question was. Yeah, I'd
Complete
forgotten
the
it.
song, I'm Forever Blowing.
Hugh Grant.
In the 1980s, what did Michael Jackson take to wearing on only one hand?
Bubbles.
What does the Queen wear on her head during state occasions?
A glove.
What type of circus performer has a red nose and amusingly large feet?
Pass.
A crown. Who is George W. Bush?
Clown.
What's the first name of Mickey Mouse's girlfriend?
George Bush. Oh, President.
President of the United States of America.
They get confused at the end, don't they, when the pressure amps up? But actually, they've done quite well there, both of them.
But for you, I'm glad to tell you, you scored 8 and 2 passes. Please take your place. Of puppets, including Kermit the Frog, Fozzie Bear, and all his friends. Which football team play at Old Trafford?
The Puppets.
That's incorrect. The Muppets.
The Muppets.
Which elite British Army division has the motto, Who Dares Wins?
Manchester United.
How do you spell the word pig?
Pass.
Yes.
Correct answer is SAS. Which Steven Spielberg film featured an alien and a small boy named Elliot?
PIG.
Which film cop played by Clint Eastwood said the famous line, Go ahead, punk, make my day?
E.T.
E.T. Who is Prince William's younger brother?
Dirty Harry.
Dirty Harry. Which cartoon bear loves honey and has a friend called Piglet? Winnie the...
Who?
Harry. What boy band had hits with All Rise, One Love and Sorry seems to be the hardest word?
Who?
What colour do you get if you mix red and white?
Blue.
In the Bible, who is Samson's girlfriend?
Pink.
It's a correct answer.
He got there in the end. He started to get his head together, but obviously he's out, isn't he?
End of your round.
He's out. Say your bye-byes.
So yeah, I mean, I wanted to go all the way, but...
Do you know what? I feel.
And it's interesting that a couple of them have been in that final showdown now. A variety of all the different people. A couple of them haven't, have they? A couple of them seem to be making it through without having to do the showdown. We will see what happens with Shattered, the UK sleep deprivation reality TV, Big Brother produced, inspired. We'll see what happens with that tomorrow. We're going to get back on Pokemon, of course, on Twitch, but I'm giving it a little variety break from Pokemon. We're doing this again tomorrow, and we were doing Mental Health Monday tonight at 8 PM GMT over on Twitch. So be there, or get more sad because life's tough. But if you come there, then it gets nicer because we make life happier. So Mental Health Monday tonight, 8 PM GMT. Be there, and I'll get onto my emails later on. Thank you very much for this, Tree. I do appreciate it. I don't want to seem ungrateful at all. I have got my ideas about how the music in the film should go, but I'm not. I know that it's not happening that way, so I'm willing to be open-minded. So I am grateful, and I will see you all a bit later on for Mental Health Monday, 8 PM GMT over on Twitch. I'm Ganji Kid. I'm the Grave Kipper, and you be good. And if you can't be good, then I'm going to make you stay awake for about 196 hours and see what you look like after that.